Other news for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Former cornerback Steven Nelson announced his retirement after 9 seasons in the NFL, spent the last 2 years with the Houston Texans. I'll say this about Steven Nelson. I think he got a bad rep here in Pittsburgh. I think he was a better corner than people wanted to believe. I think that he was a bit of a scapegoat when it came to his time leaving the Steelers. They needed a cap casualty. They weren't going to get rid of Joe Hayden. They needed to get rid of somebody. Steven Nelson was the clear and obvious answer, so they moved on from him. But I thought he was a reliable corner for the most part during his time as a Steeler. I thought him and Joe Hayden and Mike Hilton played very well together. I liked that trio. Wish it didn't end on bad terms. He clearly made it worse by going on a podcast a couple of months ago or whatever and saying the Steelers still haven't found a corner. Since that podcast, they have found 3 corners, so I think they're okay. But I still think had a bad rep in Pittsburgh the way it ended, probably didn't need to be the way it should have ended.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a villain, but he's certainly not someone looked upon, I guess, favorably by Steelers fans after he left. He kind of did get the last laugh, I will say. I mean, beating the Steelers down in Houston last year and kind of dominating them. He had a pick in that game, and he made sure to let him know. So, But I think when it's all said and done, if Steven Nelson comes back to Pittsburgh in 2-3 years or whatever, no one's really going to care. No one's really going to remember. I think he was good enough. He's a productive player for the Steelers, and even if there's a little tension at the end, I think that's all going to be water under the bridge eventually. I hope people have a better, I hope they remember Steven Nelson a little bit better than maybe they do after this past year, because he was a good player, man. He had some solid years here. It's just kind of a shame, like you said, that it kind of ended the way it did, because I don't know, it didn't deserve to go out like that,
No, I agree. I don't think that it should have ended the way that it ended. He clearly made things worse, and you got to fault people for that at the same time. But again, I thought he got a bad rep. I thought Steven Nelson was a pretty good corner when he was in Pittsburgh. And I think if he stuck around, they would have got a really, really a hard-nosed corner that fans would have liked, the team would have liked if they just stuck with them a little bit longer. But that's the business side of the NFL, and it doesn't always turn out pretty. So shout out Steven Nelson. Doesn't sound like he's really on his way out. He's already talking about a potential comeback. So
yeah, we'll this just sounds like paternity leave. Like, I think I read something from like NFL.com where he was like, yeah, my wife's pregnant, so I'm going to retire, but I'll probably be back, quite honestly. So I don't think this is the last we've seen Steven Nelson either.
No, I agree.